Hi, Scott Swan here, talking real estate market values today. So there are four values that we're going to look at, and they're the assessed value, uh, the appraised value, the online value, the Zestimate, the Zillow, and fair market value. So assessed value there's no correlation to market value. The assessor's office in Ada County sends out, Canyon County as well, sends out a piece of paper that says appraisal across the top, and this is what your house is worth. And that has no correlation to your market value. They need to hit an operating budget, and they make adjustments up and down as the market is making adjustments up and down. Right now, the trend that we're seeing is land values are increasing a little bit more than what the improvements are increasing. I believe that's so that when we have a market correction, the county can say, well, your house is worth less, but your land isn't, and keep those assessed values up. So that's about taxes. You want that number to be as low as possible. And the second value is your appraised value. So that's a qualified professional appraisal doing a lot of hard work trying to find exactly similar homes to justify a price for someone who is getting a loan from a bank. The higher the loan to value, the more stringent the requirements are for the appraisal. And so we see a lot of appraisals that can come in easy. If it's a $100,000 loan on a $300,000 house, somebody's putting 2/3 down, that appraisal is going to be most likely pretty easy for the appraiser to say, yes, that house is worth $300,000. You have the same person putting 3% down on that $300,000 house. The appraiser has to look more stringently at the features of the house, the benefits of the house in relation to what's selling around it, to protect the bank who potentially could get that property back if the borrower defaulted. Moving on to the Zestimate, the Zillow, the Zeal, the Zero Confidence. They have a statement on their site, I believe. I saw it at one point. They can be plus or minus 7%. So that's a 14% swing. I have seen bigger swings. I heard an urban legend, I don't know, fact check this. One Zillow executive sold his house for 30% less than his Zestimate. I don't know that that's true. Call me on it. Hey, check it out. All I know is it's frustrating to go up against his estimate, and we need to take it with a grain of salt. That they are plugging through an algorithm similar to the county and extrapolating as much information as they can to say this is what your house might be worth. I have a past client who their house jumped about $60,000 overnight just for one sale on their street of a completely dissimilar home, of a much, much larger home that sold for a substantial amount of money. And all of a sudden, my client's house is worth $60,000 more. They called me up and said, well, I know we just talked to you, but now our house is worth $60,000 more. We should sell it. No, don't do that. Then, of course, that brings us to the fourth, the fair market value. And fair market value is what a willing buyer will pay for your house, and what you as a willing seller will pay. So I always say right house, right seller when I'm working with my buyers. You know, if we find the right house but the seller is completely unrealistic with their price, like the seller gets to be the owner. The seller gets to be their buyer. The seller gets to own that property if they're asking too much. And you know, when it comes to being a seller, I love that we can get to the fair market value together. And I hope that this is helpful in figuring out all those different values that are out there that we can talk about.